interview with Sean Majumder at 𝐿, take 1.
It's Majumder.
Majumder.
Majumder. Just so you're listening to this in audio, you know that he said it. I mean, you could overdub it. We can add the D later in post.
My name is Mike Wahl, and I'm passionate about exploring health. Come on a journey with me across Newfoundland and Labrador as we learn about wellness here at home. After a year of filming, there was lots to reflect on, so we gathered our small crew at my flat rock dwelling to look back at our journey. Now, behind every shot and on every adventure was our director, Braden King, and our director of photography, James McKinnon. The three of us all had our favorite moments, things we learned, and even some bloopers, lots of which didn't make the show. But with season 1 coming to a close, we thought it was a great time to share them.
Wahl Show, episode 12, wrap-up episode at Flat Rock Dwelling, take 1.
I think about the things that really stood out to me. I think probably the most profound for me was seeing our own province. Like up in Labrador, I had no idea what it was like, right? And we were up on the sea ice and we're 50 kilometers out, just booting her on a skidoo, right? And realizing just how important it is, and you think about something like climate change and how it impacts people up there that you wouldn't really think about being that close to home. But so for me, I mean, there was a ton of different health takeaways about the province itself and some of the challenges that we face just outside of the city, you know, because you hear a lot about what's happening in the mainstream side of things, but you don't really see how it affects people on a community level. I also got a better appreciation of things we have here. Like you think about like the music we had, like having Chris Andrews come over and sing and hear it like firsthand and play music with him was cool. And being on the beach with Lori cooking up was pretty amazing.
It's hard to hear the word health and then think about all these different ways that you can actually impact it other than diet and exercise. We're hardwired to think that way, but seeing that firsthand with 50 different people really opens your mind on different ways you can actually think about health.
With us sharing such a wide range of different ways you can think about health is the positive response we've already gotten from our community. It just goes to show that people are interested in this type of stuff, and it makes our work really worth it.
Well, we came with the concept of doing a show on health and wellness and all the things that encompasses to people without any proof of concept. There was no show on it before, and people jumped on board. We had community partners come on board. We had people who wanted to support us to make the project happen, and I think that's a real testament to how important it is in our province. And when you go deeper into the issues and you start to see how many different things that we have challenges with, I think that made it relevant.
It was challenging alone behind the scenes trying to create something that could explain health educationally but also entertaining. It's super challenging from a cameraman perspective, being in these crazy places, trying to film a certain topic and get a certain point across, but also trying to just take everything in at the same time.
Yeah, well, on one hand, having less hands on set can make things difficult, especially when we had so many different scenes to film, a lot of gear to move by ourselves, so that was kind of one downside. But I think the positives outweigh that greatly, just because we were able to be so nimble and get into these places that if we had a crew of a dozen people versus us three, it would be nearly impossible.
I think having a smaller crew, in a way, makes you be more efficient too, and it allows you to work with less to create more, which is really cool. I've always been one for travel and adventure and stuff like that. And originally, when we kind of sat down to discuss the show itself, it seemed like it was going to be more of a scientific sort of research-backed type of show, and it turned into something totally crazy, right? Travel aspect alone was something that I really appreciated, and I think our viewers really appreciated it as well.
Before this year, I was never in Labrador, and to be able to get to Goose Bay and Nain and then to the touring Ghats was just once in a lifetime.
And think about Burgeo. How beautiful is that? I mean, it's an archipelago of islands that I had no idea how gorgeous it was down there. And so, yeah, I got to see a lot more of the province that I hadn't seen before, and it forced us to go see places that I have a much better appreciation for now. I remember flying to Ottawa and getting to the Museum of Nature. First of all, they had to open it. And you think about the logistics, like how much it took. Like they had to open it on a holiday to get us in there.
We pulled up to the Arctic exhibit, which is pretty much the whole reason we flew to Ottawa for a day to see this exhibit. You know, it's supposed to be this beautiful ice gallery where you can actually go and you can touch this like sea ice exhibit. It's amazing. And we get there, and what are the chances that it's completely melted? We're shooting a TV series, an episode on changing climate, the warming climate. We get to a sea ice exhibit and it's melted.
I definitely felt my heartbeat go up a little bit that day. It was pretty stressful.
There was just an endless amount of bloopers. I mean, if the Ottawa trip alone, there was a couple. Just being outside the Museum of Nature, and I do remember getting this like awesome shot. And the one thing with me when I'm flying a drone is like I get so focused on it that I don't focus on anything else, which is sometimes really bad because things like this tend to happen. Luckily, it just like landed in a tree, and then I managed to maneuver it out, and there was no damage. So that was some good luck there.
I don't want to steal, this might be Mike's favorite or least favorite blooper, but definitely one that I got the best laugh out of was looking over Braden's shoulder while he was getting some drone shots of Mike dog sledding. And then just as soon as he hits record, as soon as the shot's lined up, Mike's dog team takes off and we just see Mike fall flat on his butt and then chase after the dog sled. I mean, that was just such a funny moment.
The one rule he gave me was don't let go of the dog sled. So I get a little bit freaked out because I don't want to lose audio. I don't understand the technical side like you guys. So all of a sudden I hear this voice inside my jacket, and we had a mobile mic that was recording all of our audio on us. And so anyway, I hear this going off and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose all this audio, I'm gonna ruin the shot. The dogs were so eager to go, they were just jumping, and they jumped right when I had it, and I was in deep powder, and my brake wasn't fully locked, and I flew, and that was the first time I'd really sprinted since my surgery. It was definitely
That's some pretty legendary footage we got there.
Yeah, it was good timing. I think that happened for a reason, even though
Guaranteed.
At the time I didn't feel that was that good of a thing.
I think that leads in really nicely to one of the other overarching and major hurdles that we've had to go through as a team was Mike's recovery from his surgery throughout the whole process of filming.
Yeah, people might not have known that, but I was always athletic my whole life, and then I had surgery on my abdomen, which is an important part of your body when it comes to moving around. But as I went through the show, doing all these activities really helped me get that back. And it was an amazing thing for me to go through this journey that actually improved my health. And so for me, that was like a massive takeaway. But I think we all kind of evolved on this trip, eh?
Totally. I mean, just from like a technical perspective, it's like I had to like push my boundaries a lot on what I was willing to do as like a filmmaker. We literally had to get our scuba diving license for like a minute and a half of footage.
Yeah.
In probably the dirtiest water we've ever been in our entire lives. But
Yeah.
the fact that we went and did that just makes this production so much bigger, and it shows that we're willing to push ourselves to create something awesome.
It may sound obvious, but I think the biggest change in my character, or whatever you want to call it, was I do feel like I am more health conscious. Environmental health seems to be on my mind a whole lot more these days. Being able to get up to Nain and talk to Rex and be able to hear their experience and also see the sea ice for myself, it's more impactful than you can even imagine. I mean, it's not like the first time I heard about climate change and melting sea ice, but to be able to see it has a true impact on you.
Newfoundland's one of those places where you see something on the news and you're like, oh, it'll never come to Newfoundland, right?
Yeah.
To see climate change literally in our backyard is like so crazy, right? Like it's happening right here.
Well, I had some like profound takeaways of things that I never would have thought of. Like I remember sailing with Ian Landells, and he said that people that are outdoors and active and living a healthy lifestyle can get skin cancer because they're not taking care of their skin while they're being healthy. And I was like, whoa, I never thought about that. Like that's a really relevant point, right?
I remember him saying something really specific that just like freaked me out. One of those sentences where someone says it and you're just like, I'm never gonna forget that. And he said that you should wear sunscreen when the UV index is more than 3, and on an overcast day, it's 5. Sunscreen is not just for the beach. Like, you gotta wear that every single day. And I actually have been, which is really cool. So that's a really neat takeaway that I respect a lot.
Yeah, so it wasn't all just positive stuff too. Sometimes it was kind of scary because we had to kind of experience it firsthand. And I remember that one of the things I was most scared about was getting into that cold tank at the NRC, because I had to go get a medical beforehand so I wouldn't have a heart attack because the water was that cold. And I remember hitting that water and having that response where I was completely out of control. And that was nerve-wracking because, you know, you got cameras on you and you got to dive in and just immerse yourself immediately, and I knew it was coming. That was a challenging one for me. I found that to be pretty stressful.
I mean, if we're talking about fear, literally the only thing I can think of is flying. And I've always hated flying. I don't know why. Like, some people are actually comfortable on planes, and I think you're really comfortable on planes, because I remember sitting next to you going to, I think we were going to Nain, and I was trying to take a video out the window, and there was like crazy turbulence, and you were here just like trying to like hold on to your iPad so you could play your game. And I'm here like sweating, holding onto the back of the chair, won't talk to anyone. That was something I really had to overcome, because with all these awesome travel opportunities comes a lot of flying. That's just something you're gonna have to accept. Because I remember you saying, you know, like, there's nothing you can do about it. So you just need to relax, you know what I mean? And I do try to think about that a lot, but before this season, I've never been on a plane that had like 8 seats.
Yeah, I'm not really scared of flying either, but there were some of those flights where the turbulence was so bad that
Crazy.
I did get a little anxious, I can't lie. That wasn't even the scariest part. For me, it was being outside of the base camp electric fence and having to have a bear guard within sight, so a polar bear or black bear doesn't sneak up on the group.
I think we saw 22 polar bears, let alone one that was on the beach we were gonna land on, which was wild. But, you know, having the bear guards there gave me some reassurance. But I don't know, Braden, maybe you can attest to this, but we were training for a scuba license. That was scary for me. It was freezing cold, and every time we'd go down, I mean, scuba diving is like really dangerous. We have to do all these drills, life or death, like change respirators and clear your mask and take it off. And that was unnerving to me. Like, it was only a small part of it, but, you know, when you think about, this is also a personal journey. When I was pulling garbage out of the ocean, right next to where people live, in probably one of the most beautiful harbors I've ever seen in my entire life, to me that really resonated with me. And we made sure we are recycling the second we got home, and just understanding just how much junk is out there. You don't learn about plastics and oceans and how that's going to impact you, but like, that's a really tangible side of it that that took away.
The topics that we've shown, you don't learn about that stuff on a daily basis, and that's the purpose of why we're showing it. For instance, financial health, when we talked about that with Brian Henley, like that's an interesting topic, and it's an unnerving topic too. People do not want to talk about their finances, so that was really cool to hear him talk about that, and hopefully a lot of people got good insight on it.
James, you're a vegan, and you know, we were eating in places where there weren't a lot of options, and you know, how was that sort of insight when it came to like food around the province?
When you're in the city, like St. John's, it's an option to eat vegan, you know what I mean? It's an option to eat kind of any type of dietary restrictions you'd like, but when you get out into more remote communities, you don't really have that option, where food scarcity and food availability is a real issue. I was kind of glad that I had that different perspective and was able to learn that lesson, that being able to eat vegan or eat however you want is a real privilege, and some people don't have that privilege, and they just really have to take what they can get.
I think one of the things that stands out is that in wellness, quite often we're very prescriptive. We tell people you have to eat this way, you have to do this, but it's not relevant for a lot of people. If you look at the traditional diets of the Inuit people, it's a very high protein diet. It's fish and seal and caribou and things like this that are inherent to the way they live for a long time. And so it's not realistic for somebody to have a diet that suits the popular media. And I think that unless you go and live in or spend time in those communities and see that lifestyle, you can't really have an appreciation for it. So this one-size-fits-all approach towards wellness isn't relevant, even in a province as small as Newfoundland.
We're presented a lot of misinformation when it comes to their hunting habits, especially when it comes to seals. It was a privilege for us to be able to go and see that firsthand and get a truer sense of what the actual hunt is really like.
And their personal perspectives on it too. You're not hearing it through another person, which is amazing.
And then you see somebody like Laurie McCarthy who's taken that food and updating it with, like, you know what I mean, to a next level, which is really cool, and that's something that's really special about, you know, Newfoundland itself. And so, you know, it wasn't just learning about like wintertime activities or seal hunting, things like this, but we also got a chance to go fishing, which was like a huge highlight for me. I grew up fishing, I love fishing. And we all caught fish. Braden, you caught a fish within 4 seconds of casting. It was the biggest
big
char.
fish.
You also caught something else.
Yeah, that was a nightmare for me for sure. My confidence level was so high after catching the biggest fish,
It was. I'll give you that.
Big fish.
Give you that.
It was great. My dad loved it. But my confidence level was so high that the next day, all I wanted to do was fish. Like, I felt like a kid, like fishing, because I don't actually get the opportunity to fish very often. Like, I just don't do it really. And the fact that, like, up there, the fish are so plentiful, like that Arctic char, like you can literally catch one in 10 seconds. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. But I do remember feeling the confidence. I was using someone else's fishing rod, cast it, pull it in 10 seconds later. I pull in a really tiny fish this time. And this is where like my skills of fishing come into play, because they're not very great. You know, I probably shouldn't have grabbed that fish like that. Don't really know what happened, kind of blacked out. And then when I looked down, there was a hook in my pants, in my finger, and still in the fish. Not a great time. The medic was there helping me, but you know, I was so anxious and shaking so much that I just hauled the hook out myself. Got a really cool helicopter ride. That's actually one of my most memorable experiences with the show, is that helicopter ride that I got to take. That wouldn't have happened if that hook didn't go through my finger. I remember getting in the helicopter and Kyle, the pilot, was like, you know, you're not hurt right now, so how about we take the long way back to the camp? And he took us on top of one of these like massive fjords, 3,000 feet up, landed on top of it. And it was like it was like the tablelands. Like, it was absolutely barren up there. And the view, I remember looking at you guys, you were like two little like beans down in the zodiacs. And that's a really cool perspective that we would not have gotten if that awful incident didn't happen. You know?
At the same time, we got to take the long way home in the Zodiacs, and we were like, this is August, and we were right next to huge icebergs, and we saw polar bears on the coastline, and it was mind-blowing. So, you know, that whole trip was like something that I'll never forget. So for Provincial Airlines and for Air Borealis to do that for us, that was a huge thing, because it really exposed a lot of people in the province to things they've never seen, you know?
Like, capturing the content is one thing, but like enjoying the whole process, like that's my mission. That's literally my mission in life, and it always has been since I graduated, was just enjoy what I do every single day.
And also making relationships with people. We got to meet some amazing people we never knew. Like, I think about like Donovan up in the Torngats, and like, you know, you got a nickname up at the base camp, right?
Yeah, Bubba. I love that nickname, yeah. We got to meet so many people, like you said, Donovan, and this is the same kendama that I got him hooked on. And yeah, it's always a passion of mine to share this, you know, the skill of kendama, and he really caught onto it. He caught onto it really quick.
Well, talk about catching on to things quick. You guys also got to participate in the Labrador Games. That was an amazing experience. We brought Liam up, and he set the camp record and almost set like the overall record for the high kick. You guys had a wrestling match that went on. And I was
my
like,
neck was hurting for like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, same.
well, you know, you guys get along on set, but at that moment I was like, okay, maybe there's some seasons worth of, working together coming out on this one. Because you guys were almost 2 minutes straight, but it was a good battle.
A lot of pent up anger, and we were just too evenly matched for it to end.
So we've kind of gone through the positive experience and all the different challenges behind the scenes, but, you know, did you guys have like this sort of aha moment throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was probably when we were doing the diabetes episode, especially when we were on the pedestrian mall with our little booth doing, you know, on-site testing.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I heard the stats of our province's rates of diabetes and pre-diabetes, but to see it firsthand and to even get my own finger pricked, like, I feel like I'm a young, fairly healthy guy, but I was legitimately nervous after seeing all these positive tests coming through. I was nervous that I would get hit as well.
Diving for me, like, it's crazy, you know what I mean? Like, when I was prepping to do that shoot, I was like creating like a little bit of a storyboard, like the type of underwater shots that I want to get and stuff. And I was like screenshotting stuff from our planet. Maybe there's like a reef down there, like it's gonna be great. And we dive in, and I literally can't even see my hands, like let alone you. I remember you would appear, and then you would like disappear into like the mist somewhere. It's actually terrifying. Just disgusting amount of garbage down there, man. That's eye-opening to me, because now I can't even like look at water, because all I think about is like what's in there. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had some eye-opening responses from people that really, you know, let us know that what we did made an impact to people. I got a really simple email from somebody saying that after they watched the comedy episode, they realized that they used to watch all these little comedy skits on like YouTube and stuff like that, and they just got away from it. And then him and his wife started to do it again, and they've noticed their stress level go down and they're having a better quality of life. And I've had countless messages like that since the show started, which these really profound things, these takeaways that people had these aha moments. And for me, my whole goal is to educate people on health, and that was really fulfilling for me. So I think, for me, I got way more out of this than I even thought I would. I thought we'd do some amazing things and share knowledge I already knew, but I ended up having a lot of like insights and aha moments, just how important this is and how much it's lacking in our community. Mm-hmm. We highlighted a lot of stuff that was really relevant to our province, our food, our comedy, and everything else, but there's a lot of things that have context to here that we can go explore that aren't here yet that we can bring back. I think about one of the episodes we're going to do on water, and the fact that we're surrounded by water, and in Newfoundland, water is seen as something that's dangerous, and there's been a lot of nautical disasters and a lot of sadness around the ocean. But in the rest of the world, we go pay extra money to go on the beach and stare at that ocean. And so visiting some of these island cultures around the world is going to be pretty insightful for us to see how they appreciate it as opposed to just fear it, right?
Yeah, we're definitely taking the best of season 1 and completely putting that into this second season, which I think people are really going to enjoy.
And just being able to see all these new places, new cultures, new experiences, I mean, it's going to be amazing.
As we continue to evolve this, that's what I'm really excited about, is that we were able to make this season happen without any proof of concept, and now we've got some stuff to show. People are really excited to be part of it, and I can't wait to dig in and learn more.
I think we did a great job. Looking forward to season 2, and I think that's a wrap on season 1.
Yeah, we're done.
Crazy.
Oof. Let's go take a nap.
Yeah, straight up. Cheers.
Cheers,
Good job,
guys.
fellas.
Good job, guys.